Hi everybody, this is John from GIS Priority, and today I'm going to show you how to create flow lines in ESRI's ArcMap. We're going to be using a scenario of, I want to show the state of Vermont, and I want to have one hospital, and I want to show a line indicating the distance from each center of each zip code to the actual hospital to kind of get a feel for distance of any kind of population in that zip code. So to do this, I have my layers already turned on here. I have the state of Vermont and all its zip codes in different colors, all the hospitals represented here. And I'm going to use a few different toolbox tools. I'm not going to spend too much time on them because they're not really the focus of this video. So let me just show you the tool we're going to be using, and then we'll set up the project. So if we go to Arc Toolbox here and under Data Management Tools, and if you go into Features, and you scroll all the way to the bottom, you're going to see XY to line, and that's the tool we're going to be using. So just to give you a quick look at the tool, you're going to have an input table which is going to be a point file. It doesn't have to be a point file, but for this scenario it's going to be a point file because we're going from point A to point B. You can give it a name, and then the main factors, the main key fields that you're going to have here are the start X and Y and the end X and Y. Everything else is optional, but the start X and Y are basically going to represent, if you're thinking it as 2 points, point A, the starting point, is going to be your X and Y or your longe and lat, and then the end fields, the end X and Y, are going to be where you're going to land, basically. So the shapefile must have these fields already in the attributes table. So if you don't have them, you're going to see me set them up really fast. So let's go over that. So since I have my zip codes, the first thing I need to do is create centroids of these zip codes. So I'm going to go to Feature to Point. And I'm not going to spend much time showing you how this works, but you can probably get a good idea. I'm just going to hit OK, and it'll pump out some centroids of each of the zip codes, as you can see. Okay, so if I open that table up, we don't have any XY fields, so that's going to be my next project here. My next tool I'm going to use is the Add XY Coordinates. We're still in the Features tool set. So then, once again, I'm not going to show you, but it only has one option, so you can probably figure out what to do. You just click the feature that you want, the input feature, hit OK, and depending on your datum that you're using or your spatial reference for the file, it's going to create X and Y coordinates like it did here, as you can see in the fields point X and point Y. I'll open it back up here for you. Here's my longe and lats. And these X and Y's represent each of the points for each zip codes, and for my project purposes they're going to represent the end X and Y. So since I also need a start X and Y, what I'm going to first do is go to the hospitals table, and there's no X and Y fields in there, of course. So what I'm going to do is just pick one of these at random. That one looks good. That looks like the central hospital I want. And first I'm going to create some X and Y coordinates for the hospitals. And it does the same thing really quick. And now, boom, I got it. And since that was the one I selected, that was the only one it did. If I didn't have any selection, it would have done every one of them. So now if I bring up that zip codes point file we already created, I'm going to need to create a couple new fields. So I'm just going to go up here in the table options and create add field. I'm going to call this start X, and I'm going to make it a double since we have a longe and lat. And then here is my start X. Let me go back here, copy this one from the hospitals file, and I'm going to use the field calculator as a warning. And I'm just going to paste that in right there, and you can do this and it's going to autofill every record, as you can see. And then, as you probably guessed, we have to create a start Y field. Also has to be a double. Hit OK. It's blank. Let's go back and grab our Y value. Hit OK. Go back to field calculator again. It remembers the last setting I put in. Now we want our Y, and it autofills everything down. So now all 255 zip code centroids have the same start X and Y, which is perfect. This is exactly what I need. So now going back to the project here. So let's go back to the main tool that we're focused on. So under features again, it is the XY to line tool. As we saw before, the input table, this is going to be that zip code centroids file that I created, just called zip code feature to 0.4. And then I can name the output whatever I want. It's going to add XY to it, so that's just fine. And start X is going to be that new start X field that we created. Start Y is also going to be start Y. Now the end X is going to be the point X, and point Y obviously is the end Y. The different line types, I'm not going to read all these to you, but basically if you go into the tool help, you will see all the descriptions. Basically, do I want a straight line? Do I want a spherical line? And so on and so forth, depending on the type of map I'm trying to output. If I want that Earth circumference, circular feel, if I want a curve to the line or not. For this purpose, in the example, I'm just going to show you a straight line for just straight line distance. So I'm going to stick with geodesic, oof. I'm butchering that name, but that first one is the one I'm choosing. ID optional. This is the identifier field that you want. If you need one, if you want one, I'm going to click the zip code actual zip codes field, and any spatial reference, I'm just going to leave the default that it already has. You're going to hit OK, and it's a pretty quick tool, and boom, there you go. Now we have flow lines. And let's make them a little bit more visible. I'm going to turn off the zip code colors, and now you can just see the points. Now you can see all my lines. And if I go to the symbology, let's just turn on the zip codes. We'll do it by different zip codes. We'll do all different colors. Not really great to visualize, but there it is. Now we have flow lines from that center hospital that we selected to all the central points. Now this project, this scenario could be used in all types of examples. You could try and map out all patients to the hospitals and show their flow. So there's a lot of different examples you could use this for. And I just give you a quick and easy one. And then let's say I identify a couple, and now I can determine their lengths by each line segment. And that's it. That's how you create flow lines. Play around with them, play with the settings, but basically the main thing to remember is the starting X and Y and the ending X and Y. It has to be in the same table of the layer that you're selecting. If you didn't have it like I do, all you had to do was create the X and Y fields and the starting X and Y fields, and you saw how I did that, so I hope that helps you, and I hope this was informative.